Hi everyone, cheers. I'm so unprepared for this stream. Yes, Bruce, lucky you checked it. Silly Apple TV, can't tell the time. So this is a mint chocolate mocha. Yum-oh, yum. That's not why I'm starting a few minutes late. Firmware updates is why I'm starting a few minutes late. How is everyone doing? It is a rather cold week here in Melbourne. So the heater's still warming up a bit, and my fingers are quite cold. I am going to reveal a bit about this. We've got to stop calling it the cat door project. It's not a cat door project at all. For those of you that came here looking for a cat door project, it's not. No cats involved, apart from some 6 and 5A. So I have to keep stirring it. All the chocolate goes to the bottom, which I don't mind, but then, yeah. Anyway, okay. Graham's gone. Sorry, Graham. So, what? Thanks, Matt.
Says woo, excited.
Thanks, Matt. And you're on time this week. You're here. Don't have to do the 2 times playback catch up afterwards. Very cool. So I'm just going to wait a few more minutes for people to come in. But while I'm waiting, I'll give you an update. For those of you that... Okay, I did a second stream last week. Some of you caught it. Many of you would have been asleep, so you would have missed it. I discovered a few things after the stream. I built a second board. I don't even know where the first one is. That was the first one that I did that didn't work on stream. I actually built a second one. Yes, it looks Frankenstein, and we'll go through it quickly. Okay, that's the second one I built, and it had exactly the same problem with the hub. So it turns out it does need a crystal. The data sheet is just wrong. Okay, it's at best it's vague, but it's actually wrong. So what I did was, thanks to Peter Homan on stream, he suggested I stick a crystal on a different PCB that already had footprints for it, which is here. And then I've got some wires, which I had kind of painstakingly got it onto the chip. And so we managed to get the chip to fire up. But that wasn't enough. So it was still failing to work like my first revision was. So my first revision still has no clock, but it worked. It would find the chip. This wouldn't find the chip without a clock. And the only thing I can think of is a difference in stack up or something, right? But either way, I don't know, Intimate Tech, Quindo, I really don't know. But what I also discovered was, and what this board was doing, and I thought it was a fault with the board, but it wasn't, was that it would enumerate the hub and the ESP32, and then the ESP32 would disappear, and then the hub would disappear. And then they'd both come back. And it was like, you know, sometimes when an ESP32 does a boot loop, so it's there and it's gone, there and it's gone. But the hub was doing the same thing and I couldn't work it out. When I got the crystal onto here and got it booting, I was seeing exactly the same thing. It turns out the data sheet's wrong again. I found now two absolute mistakes in the data sheet. So the data sheet states that, so what you can do with the hub chip is you can tell the hub chip it's either powered by the bus, which is what I'm not doing, or it's self-powered, which means I'm providing it 3.3 volts directly, and it's not taking it's not taking its power from the 5 volts coming in that it's distributing to the ports, because I'm not doing that. I'm doing individual power to the ports separately. So there is one of the pins, can't remember what number, it's called P-self, and it's for whether it's being powered by itself or whether it's by the bus. And the default is, it says in the data sheet that it's got an internal pull-up, and when it's high, it's self-powered. So I didn't put anything on it. It's got an internal pull-up. And other places where they state there's an internal pull-up or pull-down, I also didn't put passives externally, and they work. Turns out, without pulling it up externally, it switches to bus-powered. So what it was doing, it was reporting to the Mac that all of the peripherals needed 750 milliamps. And the Mac would go, whoa, I can't give you that much power. And so the chip would shut down. So I'd see it, I'd not see it. I'd see it, not see it. So as soon as that blue wire that's going across, that was the only place I could get to power properly without touching something else. I've now, and there's a little resistor, anyway, I'm now pulling the P-self up, and it works great. So I redid the board, but what I also did was, while I was at it, was I added a second LDO, 3.3 volt LDO, and I've split the power between the S3 and some peripherals, and the hub and the LEDs. Because at the end of the day, the LDOs I use, they can deliver 700 milliamps, sure, but there was an S3 on there that was going to have the radios going because it's a Wi-Fi smart hub. There's obviously the hub chip. There's the I/O expander. Some of the other ICs are using 3.3 volts, like the INA chips, and then the RGB LEDs are using 3.3 volts. The LEDs are using 3.3 volts. There's a lot of things using 3.3 volts, and it's really hard to calculate what the headroom was. So to be safe, because I was changing the board anyway, I put a second 3.3 volt LDO on, and I've split the 3.3 into two sections. That way there's enough headroom no matter what happens. So I've got the new design. I've actually panelized it just for two boards. There is no way I can face having to hand assemble a fourth board. And if I did order 5 boards and I hand assembled a fourth board, I've then got 4 boards there that I'm never going to hand assemble. So I've panelized it into 2 with a frame so it can go on the pick and place machine. And unfortunately, it's still sitting in my shopping cart. I haven't ordered it yet because I've got other things waiting to go into the order. But there were so many parts, repetitive parts on it, whatever, I just didn't want to do it again. But Smart Hub, solved. Took the second stream. It was kind of painstaking. People were watching me trying to debug these pins. It wasn't pretty, but it worked. So we got through that. Yay! Okay, so how many people? 38 viewers. That's been a while since I've had that many, I think. So much assembling. Yes, let's quickly say hi to folks in the chat, and then we're going to move on to the goodness. Hang on, I better just...
Intermit Tech says you really need some enameled wire.
That's what I was using, enameled wire. But the bit, it's really short. So the wire's like this long, and then the bit that's got the enamel over it, it's only a little bit in the middle. It's fine if you only need a short length, but when you've got a long length, there's not enough enamel on it. I need to get some other ones. Okay, so, Mr. England, I'm not sure if you're back yet, but yes, hello, Intimate Tech, Gwindor, yes, I would have been chatting. Hello, Infamy 4K, Farmtech, to Kim, is it Kim or KLM? I can't see, the font's too small. So I apologise. David Esser, hello, Jonathan London. Jonathan in London, UK. Is there London? Oh, there is, isn't there? Yeah, okay, fair enough. Graham, hello, Dave Paul Jones, hello, Cable Tie. Hello, Pete. Alan, hi. Bruce, hello. Peter Homan, good morning. X-Micron, hello. Johnny's here. It's Johnny. Was that a good John Oxer? Was that a No, not very good. Sid, hello, Sid. Yes, it's been a while. Good to have you here. Dexstar77, hello. And Matt, hello. Is that everyone I've got in chat? No? Jeff. Hello, Jeff. Okay, I think that's... No? Ardanian, hello. More people coming in. You plat too much. What? Get a whole new keyboard from Logitech just because the on the W key was wearing off. Oh, nice. Okay, so what? I haven't watched into. Yeah, no spoilers. I haven't watched. We're banking up Silo. I hate it. Like we watch. Yeah. Anyway, we need more episodes out before we start watching it because it's one of those shows where you got to watch the next episode straight away to see what happens. And then when you run out of episodes, you have to wait a week for the next one. Oh, so frustrating. So we're banking them, Yazzie and I. Yeah, Silo started again. Okay, so what is the well, I showed last week, right? Did people already see last week what I showed? I'm going to show a bit more today, a bit closer, and I'm going to show you the most ambitious software API thingy stuff that I've ever tackled, and no regrets, but it's really full on. Let me just make sure I've got latest of everything. I do. Oh, look at that screen burn! Wow. Okay. Anyway, I've not even set up my desktop for this all. So, I don't even know where to start. You're going to have lots of questions, I know. I'm not going to answer all of them. I'm just going to be honest. Because there are questions I can't answer yet, or I'm just not prepared to yet. You'll know which ones they are when they come up. And what I'm going to show you from a software point of view is it's not finished at all. It's the biggest feature creep I've ever done in my entire life, in my entire work life, right? It's not unintentional, but where this started off, I wasn't sure I could pull off what I wanted to pull off. And as I was going, got a bit more confident in it, and I'm now taking it to a pretty insane level. And you'll be able to see how some of it's evolved visually. That's okay. But I guess the question is, what is it? Yeah? Oh, okay, I'm getting warm. I'm going to take this off. I think it's less that I'm warm and more that I'm nervous. Throw my jacket. You know what it is? I'm nervous that it wouldn't be the first time that I've been really excited and proud about something that I've made and shown the... I'm going to tilt this down a bit.
Tech says complaining of being cold just 5 minutes ago.
The heater's on downstairs and hot air rises and it's getting warm in here now. But as I'm saying, it's not that... I think I'm just nervous. Anyway, it's not the first time I've gone, hey, everyone, check this awesome thing I've done out. And the response is, meh. A couple of people excited, but generally, meh. So this might be more of the same. I don't know. I'm hoping it's not. And so what is it I'm building? Well, I'm building an appliance. It's an appliance, to be clear. It's not a DIY thing. It's not a hackable thing. Not from a hardware point of view. Anyway, it's an appliance I'm building for people. It's network related, kind of. So unexpected fans. So it is, as you saw the other day, right? Here's the little one. Let me just get past that. So it comes in two forms. there is a 10 inch, oops, it's a 10-inch rack, right? So it just connects to your rack, and it's PoE, powered and controlled. Yeah, it's an RGB display for a 10-inch rack. And there is a... Okay, I'm just going to move it in. I've moved it so it's not sitting at the back, so you can kind of see it better, hopefully. Hopefully I won't trip on it. I'm not sure if that's even going to work. If you'll be able to see it if I sit. Where can I get it so you'll see it? Which way? This way.
Alan Madsen says unexpected clock.
Unexpected clock. So here's a 19-inch rack version. I can't really show it to you not on a rack because it's on a rack, right? But it's a 19-inch rack mount, RGB display, which is obviously showing all sorts of data and stuff, right? And so looks overheat. It looked right. It's got fire. It's going to change focus. I'm sorry. It's going to switch between me in focus and it in focus. I don't know how I can lock it on that. Anyway, but you can see it's showing a whole bunch of different data, right? And so the idea was, wondering what kind of display it is. It's RGB LED matrix display. So, I need to get, so just get some things out of the way first. And, wow. So, this, okay, currently, 130 by 11 pixels. And the small one is 78 pixels by 11 pixels. So not super duper high res, but as you can see, you can get a fair bit of data on it.
Tech says, whoa, nice resolution.
So here's the thing. I'm currently working on a alternate version, which probably may not ever happen, that is double the pixel density. That's going to be, well, when I say double the, not double the width and height, double the pixels. So that's currently, I don't know, 1,300 and something pixels. But the new one is going to be 175 by 15. So like 2,600 and something pixels. And I'm not sure if I'm going to go with that yet because I don't know if I can keep the heat under control. It generates quite a lot of heat, obviously. So I'm not going to answer questions as they come through. Sorry, Alan, you'll have to wait. These are not one by ones. These are 1515s, but obviously the new panels are 1010s. I just don't know if it's something I'm going to go like. These already have active cooling. Both of them, they have an inbuilt fan that's got speed control, all controlled by the system to maintain airflow through the rack, through this thing, from one end to the other end. So on a, this is an earlier prototype. So if that's the small 10-inch rack, yeah, then the case, showing black is always difficult. There's a fan, it's an input, and a blower that blows through and out the side. So it's taking air in, across, and out. It's not sucking, it's blowing through. And so...
says no easy to see.
Yeah, I know it's not easy to see, so it's black. What can I do? But it's already got active cooling, you know, and it requires PoE plus, though technically the smaller rack right now with this pixel density could run off standard PoE, but they come with PoE plus power. So if you've only got PoE, you might not be able to run the larger rack. But if I go the higher pixel density, you will absolutely need PoE plus to run it. Anyway, so I've wanted to do this for a really, really long time, and there's been a lot of challenges on how to do it, right? Not just, okay, anyone can make a RGB panel with an ESP32 and display some stuff on it and stick it on a rack. There are plenty of them out there. That's not what I wanted to do. My aim for this was not to make here's another RGB matrix and here's a bit of code and everything you need to do, you got to go do yourself. That wasn't what I wanted to make, right? I wanted to make an appliance, right? And I've got no delusions that I can make a unified product, right? But I wanted to make an appliance that you had an interface to, that you could make it display whatever data you want to display without writing any code, without doing whatever, and give you a lot of flexibility and stuff. And the things I needed to solve with this were, okay, one's a hardware problem, right? One's a software problem, and then one is a product problem. And it's taken me quite a while to actually get this into a state where I could build something like this. These first two prototypes took me a while. I've milled the plates myself, getting everything lined up, the case design, the airflow design, the electronics, the heat, the power, reliability. Right now, I'm going through the process of outsourcing, the face plates pre-done. I've got some cases coming from JLC to see if I can, because I can't, for the 19-inch rack, I can't print the cases. Right now I'm printing them in 2 halves, which is a pain, right? And there's a lot of challenges with the construction of it, right? But I'm getting there. So I've been focusing on the software. And so I guess that's what I'm going to show off today, what I'm kind of doing and what I'm currently working on, which I think is pretty freaking cool. But I don't know. So I guess you guys will tell me. And I feel like this is still too early to show and talk about this, but it's been going on for a very long time. There's some of my supporters have seen this already and seen some early software. It's changed a lot since the last time. And the problem is I can't keep hiding what I'm working on, but it's not ready yet, obviously. So just to be clear, so I'm going to switch over to a different view because you won't really need to see this in a minute. So I'm trying to think when I'm going to start. I'm going to start on that screen. Okay. That is not... Oh my God. How funny is that? So that actual image doesn't exist anywhere. It's done a capture of my screen, but that's actually not my screen. That's my screen. Interesting. Well, there you go. Gave everything away. Not really. Now you need a PC, macOS, Linux emulator so we can test it. No. Okay, so I've actually got 2 different rack displays here. My small and my big. There's a web interface to it. Obviously, it's served via Ethernet. It's an Ethernet device, right? I mean, there is Wi-Fi in it. Right now, it's not enabled. As you'll see here under network, you can set up Wi-Fi. So you could use just a PoE injector and Wi-Fi and not make it Ethernet. And will I ever make a non-rack version? I don't know. Maybe. But it's always going to be Ethernet. It's always going to be PoE. There's no other power option than PoE, right? But injectors are cheap. So anyway, right now there is no Wi-Fi. I've got Wi-Fi support. It's not enabled. Right now Wi-Fi isn't, like you can't do Wi-Fi only, right? Everything is around Ethernet. whatever. So you can see up the top, it's a 19-inch rack version. Ethernet's up, Wi-Fi's idle. It's currently, why is it thinking it's PoE? That should be in a PoE plus port. Oh, did I move the port? Shit. Okay, anyway, it doesn't matter. So it will run off. So this will show you PoE plus or PoE, right? How much power it's using. I've only got 7 watts, or do I have 9 watts on this with PoE? Anyway, uptime 27 minutes, because that's what time I got in the office. This temperature is onboard temperature, inside, not ambient. It's the actual rack, the actual device temperature. And I'm currently showing free, stack, heap, whatever, right? We've got the obligatory, don't get blind, everyone. Light mode, dark mode, UI. Location settings, can detect your time zone. The fan control, right? Got, you can set temperatures and how fast the fan will run, and it'll run in between, whatever. There's some display settings. You can set your brightness for daytime, nighttime, so you can dull it down during the night, whatever. I'm going to have an off mode at nighttime as well, if you want to just have it not display anything at night. You can update, right now you can update firmware via file, right? Or via OTA, but the actual shipping version won't have either of those. You'll download firmware from the server when a new release comes out. Anyway, you can, this download upload, what that actually is you can extract all the data off this thing. All the data that this whole system uses is JSON, unobfuscated JSON. So you can grab all the data from everything in it and look at the JSON. You can even hand muck around with it if you want to and re-upload it. If you break it, you break it. Whatever. So that's the setting screen. I don't know how to even show all this. Anyway, here's the display screen. And it looks pretty crazy. So what you've got here, everything works on scenes. There's a bunch of scenes, right? And you've got, these are the scenes I've got in here right now. You can unuse scenes. You can grab a scene and drag them around. So I can take my temperature scene and drag it unused. It's no longer in the rotation. So the top scenes is a rotation of scenes. That's what keeps playing all the time, right? I'll just put that back in. And right now I'm on the editor preview. Should retain local upload that some companies would object to. Sure, whatever, we can do that as well, but it won't be like that. It won't be where you have to go and find a file somewhere on your file system. Anyway, I'll work it out. That's okay. So right now it's on editor preview. So whatever I click on will show me the preview of what I'm currently working on. So I'm currently looking at the time scenes, and and every scene has a sequence or set of sequences. So my first sequence is the current time, right? So as you can see here, I'm showing the current time, 24 hours with seconds, fading it in and out. My fade time's 500, and I can pick a color, or I can say I want it to be rainbow, right? And I can change the time, make it a slow rainbow, and it gives me a preview of what's going, right? This is the basic scene setup stuff. Very quick, right? Where you can just say, so let me just go, I'm going to add a scene just to show you how it works, right? Give it a name. We're going to call it Fred. You select a data source. We'll get to the sources soon, right? But I'm just going to do the time one again, right? But say, okay, this scene is going to all be about time, right? So I'm going to take the time module, right? And I'm going to add a sequence, and I'm going to call this, I don't know, date. And what you do is you can select from all the data sources. These are all the data sources exposed from the time system. So I want to show, I don't know, the date in that format, right? It shows me what it is. I'll make it scroll left to right with a hold. And I'll make it hold for, I don't know, 2 seconds. And I'm going to make it a gradient from hot pink to yellow. Right? and it's showing me real time what it is. Okay? Now, because this is in my actual scene stack, when I save it, actually before I save it, I'm going to move it up to here, after info. So when I save it, did I hit the save? If I've broken save, I'm very sorry. Oh, there it goes. I don't know what that was, so I'll have to fix that. So you'll now see, look at that, it's on the display. If I just tell it to restart, I'm telling it to restart the scenes, and it's now, so it shows the IP, shows my rack name, blah, 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 the link time. I'll show you how that's all set up in a second. And then the next scene is that new one I did, which will be, look at that, it's there. But you get to preview it on the screen, right? So that's how and you can just add more sequences, and each sequence can have its own, hey Dale, how you doing? Each sequence can have its own bit of data and how it's displayed, right? And you can do things like, if I add a sequence here and go, okay, doesn't matter what it's called, and I'm going to pick the, I don't know, day of the week, right? I can also add a prefix to it. So I'm going to say day, question mark, right? And I can, the separator right now is no separator, but I can set a space for a separator. Day of the week, Wednesday, and I'm going to say, whoa, right, with a space. So the middle bit is the dynamic bit. The sides are whatever I've got as a prefix or suffix. This is the simple layout, right? And then I can say, I'm actually going to make this data color, and that allows me to set each of these values to something different.
Alan Madsen says maybe clear week number.
So I can set each one of these to be a different color if I want to, right? There we go. Ugh, ugly. Hurts my eyes. Anyway, so you got all different ways of setting what they are, random colors, whatever, different types of animations. It's all basic control. It's to get a bit of data on the device, right? Or a group of data on the device. I'm just going to delete this, delete the scene. It's gone. I don't want it anyway. It was yuck. Okay. So other things you can do, for instance, here on the IP address, okay? So you can tell a scene how many times it's going to loop. So it might loop like before it goes to the next scene. You might want to show the whole sequence twice or 3 times, right? When I go to IP address, so when it boots, it shows the IP address. And I've got this option to say fire once. So everything can be always shown, or only ever fire once and then don't get shown again until the device is rebooted or the scenes are told to restart from scratch. Or you can set something to only show every hour. So if it hasn't been shown in that hour yet, when the hour ticks over, it shows it, right? So you can kind of adjust how things are shown, how long it's on the screen for, that particular element, and whether that's a per item thing or the total time for the scene, whether there's a delay, all that type of stuff, right? It's fairly basic to set up a whole bunch of information that gets shown on the screen, right? So, okay. So we're going to jump now. Oh, and also you can get a live preview. So this is what's on the actual panel, streaming in. Now, it's only streaming in at 10 frames a second because that's a lot of data, right? And you don't really need more than 10 frames a second to get an idea of what's happening. But you can look at this at the device at any time, a live result, or you can be in your editor preview. And you'll understand why that's important in a moment, right? Now, I've also got, I'm building, there's like an animation kind of system thing just for pre-baked animations. So like in this particular case, actually, let's go to this one. It's called Pac-Man. It's actually fire now. On fire. I should change that. Save it. So you can add a scene or you can add an animation. So this is an animation. There are no sequences, and you can choose from a bunch of animations. And I'm adding more all the time, but like this is the star field that was on the other one. You can set the speed, whether things have trails or not. You can pick like a planet color. I'm going to make it blue, and a planet factor, if I make it 1, where it's a % chance of a planet appearing when you're flying. Well, let's make it higher. See if we, oh, planet just went past then. There you go, there's another one. I can slow it down. So each animation's got some basic controls. So you saw fire, there's a rain. You can do a trail. You can actually make it colored rain. There's a tunnel. So that's currently a square. If I can make it a triangle, and then I'm going to make it rotate. So they kind of, it's just different effects, right? It's just something that you can have on a little screensavery thing in between data, right? There could be all sorts of things. Again, I can add all sorts, and I will. Here's like a DNA thing. You can set the direction. You can change the colors. Get green and yellow, right? And it just, yeah. So, I did a Pac-Man, waka, 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 waka. No sound. Now, I did have sound, and I took the sound off. There was an amp and a speaker in this, one of the original designs. Firstly, you can't hear it. It's in a rack. It's noisy. And the second thing is I don't have enough. There's not enough memory. There's not enough SRAM to. I need it for all the networking stuff, right? For all the API stuff. So I had to get rid of it. There was also a microphone at one point. Again, it was the same problem. So there's no point putting a microphone in with, being able to do some audio reactive stuff when it's sitting inside a noisy rack that hums, right? It's kind of pointless. Anyway, okay, so this one is my logo. So it's a user sprite. So the same thing. I get to choose the sprite, the motions, that scale fade. I can just do a scroll fade, right? I can tell it to use the original colors. I can cycle the colors. It'll cycle between the palette on it, right? And I can do the duration and all sorts of stuff. Right? So I can just do some basic things. I can just make it fade. It'll just fade in and out. It's just basic animation, right? Now, where did this logo come from? Well, there's a sprite editor. So there's my sprite. And so I created this sprite, and that's the palette. That's what it's cycling through. Hi from Tommy. Who's Tommy? What? So it's a full-on sprite editor. You can obviously paint, right? You got undo, redo, including keyboard should work. Oh, don't have keyboard on this one. Okay, there should be keyboard undo here. Hello, Tommy. So you can kind of make it. You can make any size sprite you want, right? You're not limited to the size. So like here is a YouTube. Oh, here's the Pac-Man sprite. Discard. Okay. Yep. So here's a Pac-Man, and Pac-Man's got multiple frames. You can make as many frames as you want with whatever palette you want, and you can play the frames back in the editor. We have moderated it. Okay. We will be careful. So that's where the Pac-Man comes from. So stop that. So I can be on any frame. I can modify the frame. I can grab that one. I'm going to duplicate the frame. I'm going to, I don't know, make his eyes red. And I might add an extra color. I don't know what. Do white. Did I just not do? Did I not pick that? What did I just do? Did I hit white? Oh, have I broken this? Awesome. I know why it's broken. You'll see why in a moment. Anyway, doesn't matter. So I'm just going to, I'll put a line here, whatever, and then I'll play it, and you'll see that there's now an extra frame, right? So I'm going to delete that frame. You can grab frames and move them around and reorder them. So you can make your own art, right? Your own sprites. So here's a YouTube logo. I'm just going to discard that. Which actually animates. Again, it's just that does that thing. They're not quite in the right position, but you'll see what the YouTube logo, whatever. You can just create a new sprite. You can give it a name. I don't know. Name. You can. I'm going to make it. I don't know, 50 by 22. You can zoom in and out, but I don't know if I can. Yep. Okay. That was already on zoom, and then you can just paint in it. So you can do a fill. I'm going to do a, if it's not going to let me add colors. Oh, I did that time. So I'm going to fill that with black, but I'm going to, whatever. There we go. We have it, and I can save it, and we've now got a sprite. Can you make your own sprites? Do a B. Yeah, I don't want to spend time doing it. Whatever. You can even, so if I go to this, I can actually change its size now. So I can actually make it taller, right? And I can nudge it. So I can use the keyboard and I can nudge whatever. And if you nudge too far, if I go like that, you'll lose those pixels. Just keep in mind, right? But you can kind of move things around. So if you want to reposition your sprite, you can do stuff like that. Anyway, I'm going to delete that sprite. See ya. So, sprites. There is SNMP built in. Unfortunately, Unify doesn't really do much with SNMP, so I've actually got it disabled here. But if you have an SNMP capable router that this is connected to, you can get SNMP data out of it, and then you can expose that data in a scene. So you can display stats about your thing, right? I've got MQTT. This is currently listening to my stream. So if I go to display and go live, and if someone does if someone does a RGB logo, if I go logo, I'll do it. Rain. No, not frame. Rain. You see that? It will show right now it just shows the message. Okay, but the idea is you'll be able to capture. It's complex. I'll get to it. I need to get to the modules so you'll understand. But you'll be able to capture any type of data from an MQTT message and tell it how you want to display it on the screen. Right now I'm just intercepting it and doing it, but if you've got like temperature sensor data, you'll be able to actually isolate all your data out of a message, of any type of message, and show it however you want on the display. And you'll understand why or how in a moment. Thanks, Dave. So let's go to here. Let's go, okay, MQTT, whatever. Modules. This is where the data comes from. There's a bunch of built-in modules. So I added the YouTube module, right? So I've got my API key, my handle. That gives me YouTube data, right? There's a world clock module that comes in it. I can set here, I can just go, what's a city? Someone wants to know the time for. Somewhere pick someone. I'm going to have to wait the delay. He's going to pick okay, let's go Madrid. Madrid. You get to pick here. Right, okay, you were too slow, Alan. So I've now added that. Okay, I can go save. And I'm limiting to how many you can have right now, but I guess technically we can have as many as we want. It just sits forever on different times. But you can add time. You can add like world clock stuff. Open weather. I've got an API key. Yeah, I know it's YouTube. I know. I've got a Forex API. Wait, where's my currency pairs gone? Oh, interesting. Okay, I've broken something else. I've broken lots of things because I'm making a new editor. Anyway, but here it's enabled, polls every 60 minutes, and I can just do a currency pair. So I can say, I want to see the, what's the currency pair we want to see? Pound to, where's yen? Where's yen? Pound to SEK. There we go. Pound to, do we want pound to SEK? Fine, add. Okay, so now we've got pound to SEK. We'll save that. So now in our Forex thing, right? So we've got a Forex scene, currency. Right now it cycles through all the rates, but you can say which one you want to cycle through. So it'll present to you both directions. But you can just, you can just pick one you want or let it go through all of them. So it hosts its own web interface. This is all being driven off the rack. Yes. This is all off the rack. So back to modules. So they're built-in modules, and I'll be adding more, whatever. But you've got user modules. So these top ones are user modules, and a user module is where you can add your own API endpoints. So it's all local, no cloud. It's all local. Well, it's all local, no cloud, but just wait. Just wait. So these are ones that I've added, right? So you can add your own endpoints. So like I've got this joke endpoint, this joke module. Like these are user modules where you can give it a name, you can give it an API key if it needs, right? You can set the auth mode. So this particular joke online API has no authentication needed. It's fully public, right? So, but you can actually set up, if there's an API, if you need authentication, you can do bearer, query, header, or none, right? And then what you do is you grab an endpoint. So I'm going to go, I'll just grab one that I've already got, right, which is programming jokes, right? So you have to know what the endpoint is, okay? I'm going to go call it pjokes. I'm going to put the endpoint in, and you tell it to parse. And it goes and finds all of the tags for that endpoint, right? And then you do this. You go, you can type, and you can drag. So I can go, I don't know, I'm just making stupid stuff here, right? When you go ID, colon, space, drag ID in, okay, is joke, category. I'm building a data source, right? I'm building a data source called pjokes, yeah? And then I'm designing how that data source is constructed, right? Joke category is programming, and the joke is, and where's the joke? Here. I mean, that's stupid, right? But I've now go add data source. This is now a data source for this joke thing. You can create as many endpoints for that as you want. Put it rivals to maybe stack them like a list. Stack what like a list? Sorry. Now this is constructing. You're constructing how the data is implemented for the thing. Like what I did there is stupid because you wouldn't ever display that, right? Right? What you display is the joke. You want to show the joke, right? I'm just showing that this is like you can construct so the stuff that's in the curly brackets is dynamic, and you can put whatever text around it. The point is you can construct the data source to be shown however you want, is what I'm saying, right? What I did then is a ridiculous thing, right? You wouldn't ever show the data that way, right? But you're building like an F string, yeah, where the data automatically, dynamically gets inserted for you. You specify the tag, it builds it for you dynamically at runtime when the joke comes through, right? That's what I'm trying to show. So cancel that. So for instance, I've got this AFL API. Multiple displays stacked. Multiple what displays stacked? Sorry, I don't understand. So Dave, so I'm not trying to be obtuse. I don't understand what you mean. What are you calling a display? That's what I'm showing there is a data source. You can have as many data sources for any API endpoint as you want. So I have this one here, right? I've got this AFL one. It's an open thing. And so in this case, I've set this is the URL, right? And what I can do is I can actually tell it. So it's got row standing. I can say I want an exact match. So what I did is I parsed the data, right? And these are all my tags. And I'm saying so these are all the tags. I want to match. I can do first by index, a match, a like, right? So it's fuzzy, a cycle. But I'm going to match name tag to Collingwood. So what this has done, this has sucked all the tags in and all the data for the tags. So I'm specifying I want to see the results for the name Collingwood. And then I am showing the data on the screen. And this gives me a preview of what it is. I'm literally going to an endpoint, scraping the data, picking what I want from the data, and constructing it into a data source with no programming. You have to do no programming. You can go to any API endpoint, authenticated or not, and as long as you know the endpoint is a valid endpoint, it'll scrape the data from it and present it to you in a way that you can generate your own data that you can then display on the display however you want. I mean, if you think about that, like any API, any endpoint, if you can access it, you can get the data and display it however you want. No code, no programming, no anything. It's still blows my mind. Maybe it's I don't know. Message instead of data. No, it's a data source. It's not a message. It's a data source. So scenes show data from a data source. The data source in this case is this AFL endpoint, this name. So this one is Collingwood stats. I could create another one for Richmond stats, or I could create another one for list of team members in a different team, right? Whatever the API will give me, I can generate a data source from. Because the data source then, like the message is what gets created from a data source. Anyway, mine's me setting up a magic mirror. Yeah, hey John. Kind of, yes. So here's a cats fact one, right? It's pulling through cat breeds, whatever. You can basically, you go add user module, right? It creates, here's a new module. You can give it a name. You can set up its authentication. You put an endpoint in and you tell it to parse, and that's it. And it gives you the data, and you use the data to construct whatever you want from it. Software to be stacked, actual hardware to create a list. Master control software to use stacked actual. Oh, no, that's not what this is for. This is a one rack software interface. It's not designed. No, what you're talking about is a whole different product, Dave. Sorry. It's, yeah. Anyway, doesn't matter. So that's user modules. Okay? Pretty much any type of data from any type, so long as it's an endpoint you can get to, can be turned into data that you can display. Now, let's talk about the feature creep. So, where is my... Right. So, that's scenes and animation. Now, this is what I've been working on, and this is insane. I've been working on a new scene type, which is called a composition. So, my YouTube subs. This is not a grab a drop down, do a blah, 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 do a blah, blah, blah. This is a composition editor where I can grab things, move them around. I can pick what goes on the screen. Now, why, right? So I can say, let's create a new one. It'd be easy to create a new one for the moment to show you. So I'm just going to call this, I don't know, comp 2. Again, I select a data source, okay? I'm going to choose, I don't know, these are all my data sources. Okay, I'm going to do time, okay? And I get a canvas. These are all my data source elements. So I can just put day of the week on. I'm going to put it over here. That's going to be red. Right, Wednesday. And I'm going to add the time, which is going to be, I don't know, blue. And I'm going to, you can see here, I can set whether it's left or right justified, right? So I'm going to make that right justified. Oh, have I broken this? I've broken these justification things. Okay. So you can see these are the elements, right? I can drag them, I can move them, I can add a sprite from existing sprites, my own custom sprites. There's going to be a bunch of built-in sprites you can download from the net, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to stick this heart on here. I'm going to put it over here. Actually, I'm going to make the heart yellow. And then what I can do is I'm going to anchor the heart to day of the week. Oh my God. What have I done? Don't change code. You'll see why this is broken in a moment. Oh no. That sucks. You can anchor items to other items. So this Wednesday, like let's say that was Wednesday, like different lengths text.
Alan Madsen says support that language. Think about how time is in other countries. Names of days of the week, etc., etc.
Yeah, this is English only. First revision's English only. Sorry, Alan. Anyway. So I anchored this to day of the week. If that day of the week changes, the icon moves, right? Because it's anchored to it, but these anchoring isn't working. That's an anchor line, which isn't showing in the right spot. God. You can see here there's no X position anymore. So if I move this, it doesn't move the anchor. I've broken it. Okay, why have I broken it? Well, let me go back to, I'm just going to delete that. Let me go back to here. This is why I broke it, because I did this. You can see here it's showing an animated sprite. If I click on this, I can tell it's set to animate, but I can actually just make it stay on a particular frame if I want, right? But I'll leave it animate. Showing me a preview here, right? I can, if I move it, right? The reason it's broken is because I added this. I'm adding this at the moment. So you got editor, timeline. I am adding a full animation editor. So this vids, yeah. Oh, why is that closing? Bloody hell. Anyway, if I click on vids, yeah, and let me go back to here. So many broken things. and I...
Intermit Tech says now I can keyframe outside of my video editor. Oh no.
So if I go over here and I move that to over here, you see it animating? I can now animate things on a frame. And so I can go on this opacity, I can do a shift click to add a keyframe. And if I go over here, and I'm going to shift click to add the frame. What did I just do? Oh, that was on video count. Oh my God. So now, see, I get fading in and out. I'm still working on this. This is really complex code, let me tell you. And everything I add, I break something else, right? This is all being done in a browser being served from this. Now, someone asked before about the cloud. So this is not in the cloud. This is all being served from the rack. But right now, the JavaScript that is running this stuff here. No, I already said there's no audio. The audio was useless. The first version had audio. You couldn't hear it. It had an amplifier and a speaker, and you couldn't hear it inside a rack. So audio just didn't make any sense. I'm sorry. It's not a... Yeah. It's a display. This JS right now is being served from my Unexpected Maker website because I don't want to have to reflash the device every time I make a JavaScript change. But the plan is that the release version of this will cache any JavaScript updates that come from, like an update that comes from a server to the flash of the device and serve it from there. And it'll only ever pull JS from the server from outside if there's an update. But it'll pull it and cache it and serve it locally. I don't want to have to do a firmware update every time a new JS features land or change, right? That's just ridiculous that people have to constantly update the firmware all the time. So they're two separate bits. Almost thought through, missing the Danish language letters. Yeah, it's... So, and there'll be more properties that you'll be able to animate, right? As you can, appreciate that this is really complex, showing keyframes. Yeah, you can grab a keyframe, you can grab a keyframe and drag it, right? It shows you the time. You can, if you command click or control click, you can delete a keyframe, shift click to add a keyframe. It's, it shouldn't be collapsing. I actually introduced this collapse bug about 20 minutes before the stream started. Anyway, you can zoom into the timeline and it'll zoom from wherever you are. So here, if I zoom from this end, I mean, it's feature creep times 1000, right? But what it means is you'll be able to not just show, here's a bit of data scrolling in, stays here, cycles colors and scrolls out. You'll be able to build any type of visual composition that you want, animated however you want, and displayed on the rack as a scene, right? So this is showing me an editor preview exactly what I'm going to get on the rack. Okay, and if I save this, yeah, and I'm now live on the rack. This is actually running. See that? Let me go back to here. And let me just save. Watch this. Oh, what just happened? Did I crash it? Oh, I crashed it. Nice, see on. Anyway, so this will, it restarted. Yeah. Lots of bugs. As I said, it's not ready yet. It's not ready yet, but you'll see that change, or hopefully that's seen. I didn't just trash it. Wait. It didn't play it. Uh-oh. Okay, it's not saving it. I've broken it. It's actually probably deleted the oh, there we go. Saved. There we go. There's a delay on save sometimes, but you see that it animated.
It says, how does it know there is a JS update?
The JS is versioned. So right now I'm showing it here. There's a build. Every JS update has a build which it can compare to, and I'm showing it here so I can confirm every time that it's got the right JS. So every single deploy of the JS goes through and timestamps the JS. So yeah, that's how it works. I would say commercial use equals no internet access. Is it pushed or only checks when restarted? You can't push JS, it pulls. Just like with any website. It's anyway, it's the whole update process. Right now this is in it's not doing that process right now. Right? This is development. How and when it grabs updates and pulls, how it gets notified that there's an update and stuff, it's going to need a call home, obviously. So how that's all going to work yet is still up in the air. So like features that I want to add are the ability to, there'll be a central repository of things that aren't on your device, like a whole bunch of sprites and stuff that you can grab and you can pull into your rack and use them in your scenes, stuff like that, right? There'll be, I don't know about community contributed stuff yet, but the idea is that I want people to be able to grab extra things, new things for their rack without having to reflash firmware. There will be firmware updates, I guess. But like all of these sprites, they're actually stored in Flash, right? And the same mechanism that stores them in Flash allows ones to be injected from the internet and stored in Flash as well, right? So you could look at like maybe on this screen here, you'll be able to go and look at the online browser of sprites, and it'll show you all the current sprites that are there, and you can go grab sprites and put them in. So I don't have to resend out an update for all the sprites. And keep in mind, the sprites that are here live in many formats because they are a sprite that can be shown on a website, and they're a sprite that lives in C++ land that can be displayed on the device, right? How many sprites can it hold? How long is a piece of string? It's Flash, right? You'll have when you run out of Flash, you'll run out of Flash. So lots of things they need to do, right? There needs to be a way of saying how much Flash space you've got left, right? Lots of stuff, lots and lots of stuff to do still. As I said, it's still far from ready, and I keep breaking it all the time. No SD card, no, it does not need an SD card. You don't, firstly, sprites aren't big, but you don't need to be storing 1,000 sprites on your thing. Lots of things that can happen. Lots of things. Anyway, right now my focus is on this system here, which is for every feature I add, I break something, unfortunately. And by the way, the actual canvas itself, can be animated. So I can add a key here and go over here and add a key here, and I can animate the whole canvas, including moving the whole canvas, right? So you've got full canvas control, And then you've got individual item control above that. Yeah. So you can imagine the complexity if I was doing this with twice as many pixels. Yeah. And all this is serialized live to Flash for C++ consumption and web consumption. So updates here. So that's right. So live updates here of what I'm working on. And actually, I don't even know if that will. And live, see, live up. So that's coming through. That's displaying on here now, driven by C++, feeding into here, while this is showing me the animation in a preview here. Like, this is a challenge. It's a challenge. Sorry, I'm trying to sell the complexity of it. It's not about the complexity. It's a, anyway. The point with all of this is I wanted to build a device that people can display useful information of whatever is important to them, either in a very simple way on the screen, you know, whack it on the screen, animate it in, animate it out, or if they want to do something very complex, they can compose that data into a very complex thing. Now, if I do go twice the resolution, twice the pixel density, that will actually open up a lot of additional opportunities for how much data can be displayed in a frame, right? So right now I do have different font sizes, or there should be a bigger one. This is my standard font, and then there's so that's a 7 by 5. There's a 5 by 3, which doesn't look great. But if I go the extra pixels, then the 7 by 5 becomes a small font, and I can fit 2 rows on the display. Make week number and count down to week number. Okay, but what use would that be? What would a week number and a countdown to week number do for someone? Anyway, it doesn't matter. Look, I'm sure there's a limit, but there's like the things that could be added are very, very broad. But something like that is honestly, it's a non-event thing compared to all the other things I could possibly add, right? Count the same, the 10-inch and the 19-inch rank. Screen pixel count. No, the 10-inch one is, what did I say? It was 76 across. Obviously, there's less pixels because they're the same. So here is the 10-inch, right? So you see here, rack 10-inch. So I'm currently, these are my different racks that are running, right? So this is the 10-inch rack, and you can see here, it's a smaller rack, right? Smaller pixel density. That's the screen compared to that, right? Same height, different amount of width, pixels, right? Because they're the same. It's a 1-inch rack. Now, if 2 of them, can they talk to each other? No. So, yeah, messing around. Having multiple displays sync would be great. Then you don't have to make high density version. No, I do have to make a high density version because that's totally different to multiple displays. Okay. Yeah. I'll never say no, but I doubt very much I'm ever going to do a multiple displays and sync. Yeah, that's not what this is about. Yeah, anyway. I mean, it sounds like a cool idea, but it's a totally different thing. I mean, I don't want to see data here and here. I want to see data together. and you're making a big assumption. So okay, let me put it this way. I get this a lot with. This is going to sound snooty, but just think about what I'm going to say, right? Just hear me out. I get this a lot. I get suggestions from people that would never buy my product and don't ever buy the product about features that the product should have. Okay? So you should make it sync across 2 rack displays, thing. Sure, you buy 2 racks off me right now and we can talk about that feature. But if you're a person that is never ever going to buy 1, let alone 2, the suggestion of 2 racks synced to get extra data isn't a valid suggestion. And I'm just being totally honest with you, because it's a pie in the sky use case scenario that has no justification, because it isn't even something that you would buy. You wouldn't even buy 1 of. So suggesting that 2 of them should sync is not a thing I can really take seriously, right? And like I'm sorry if that sounds shitty, but like I get it all the time of all of my products that I show, and everyone's entitled to their opinion on what features something should have or not have or whatever. That's all cool, right? But I'd love to have one in Denmark, but I think it would be very difficult and expensive. About the EU, if it's to be sold here, I don't know if it'll never be sold directly in the EU. Like I doubt it. I don't know. I don't have a complete go to market plan yet. Like I'm still, I've only just finalized the hardware, and it is finalized unless I go a high density display. And so, there's a lot still to sort out, and I still don't know, I'm waiting for my first shipment of custom faceplates and my first shipment of cases, and then I've got to work out how they're going to be constructed. I design products, I don't design them for myself, I design them so other people will buy them. Right, Peter, I get it, but the assumption that someone's going to buy 2 of these instead of 1 so they can show more data because they're synced is not, like, think about that, right? So of all the possible people that could buy one, how many are going to buy 1 and how many are going to buy 2? And then what's the reality of 2 of them stacked so they can get more data visually in front of their face right now, like this, compared to 1 rack, higher density pixels, and they can get twice as much data on their display, and they only need 1 of them, right? These ideas I give to you, which you may or may not have thought of yourself, so whether you can use them. Oh, absolutely. I get it. No, I get it. And I'm happy to hear them. But just keep in mind that it's really easy to come up with crazy ideas about things that, whatever, but there's got to be a level of realism and a usability and a justification to them. And 2 rack synced is the use case of 2 racks, 2 racks in 2 locations with synced data. So 2 different departments, whatever, can see same data. Sure, right? But that doesn't require a synced display of split information, right? That's different to 2 displays for twice as much stuff, right? So I think the 2 displays for twice as much stuff doesn't make any sense to me. Like, and the requirements to control that would be completely different to the requirements to control 1 display. So, yeah. And maybe I just can't think of any good reason why, but just want the scenes on 2 displays to be lockstep. Well, if it's being driven by MQTT, sure. If you have 2 displays listening to the same MQTT messages, doing the same things on MQTT when they happen, then they'd be doing the same thing. Absolutely. Assuming they can both be listening to the same MQTT. But what would the need for that? Like, I'm trying to understand what the need for that would be. In a network rack, okay? Sure. If this was, and I'm not saying this won't ever be a non-rack thing. Maybe in the future it will. Maybe in the future there'll be a non-rack version that people can sit on top of each other or whatever. But like, it's not a TV wall, and it's not a rack wall, and it's not a, you know what I mean? It's a device. It's like, but still, sure. Could you do cool things with multiple of them? No doubt. And if that ever becomes a real thing where people really want to have multiple of them and want to be able to do whatever, I'm sure I could work something out. But right now, the plan is a single device with really awesome features, right? That requires no programming, no whatever, to pretty much be able to display whatever you want. So like one of the things that I'm working on right now, which again is a fun challenge, is that, as I said, the Unify network devices. So the type of things that someone might want to show on their rack display on their network rack would be network data, right? And so Unify doesn't have SNMP, or it does, but exposes nothing. They have their own API. So I was planning on doing the Unify API through here, and this works. I can do this, right? This works to grab stuff from that, but it's they've got a really complex API. So that's another thing I need to add in the core is, you know, up here, SNMP, there'll be a Unify thing where you can extract all the data you want from your Unify device, router, whatever else it's connected to, or whatever, to display the data. I mean, to me, they're the type of things that someone's going to want to display on their rack, on their network rack, if it's in a network server room. Right? If it's not in a network server room, if it's on a rack sitting on your desk that's there as a display only, sure, then there are other things that need to be displayed, but they're all more important right now than how do I get two devices synced, I think, right? Unify API has not been stable either. I took a look at the Python library that implements FHA. It's been a nightmare. Yeah, they keep changing it. Every update, they update their API, and there are changes to the API. They're versioning their API. It's difficult, and you need to call this to get this information to then embed it into this, to call this information to embed it into this, to call this information. You can't just hard code the data because they change the data. They change the IDs for your default network. They change, you know what I mean? You can't hard code things. It was yeah. Hello, Mr. Spring. What happened with the previous project in USB? Go back to the start of the stream. If you, I covered all that at the very start. So yeah, if you go back, when this is finished, go back and, they break the auth as well. Oh my God, see on his live. Right, well, I've got the YouTube, as I mentioned. So, like this YouTube here, I've got subs, I've got video, this is my video count. And then, there's also views and channel, and then, so this is for a private, so we have to put the key in, but I want to do a public YouTube one where you can just put channel names in and it'll let you know, like you'll be able to, one of the data sources you can make is when's their next live thing. It can be a countdown till the next live event, right? That doesn't need an API key, that just needs, it's a public thing, right? So a lot of that stuff I'm just going to add as, you know, so this will be YouTube private, I guess, and then it'll be a YouTube public. But that's also something that you could probably do as a user module. You could do it yourself. But I want to add things that many people might want as a built-in module so people don't have to set up their own user module every time for those things. Data center days, I would have loved to have one of these at the top of each rack, but it would drive my OCD mad if they were all scrolling. If they weren't all scrolling at the same time. Okay, but that means you mean the scrolling with exactly the same data, or just all in sync with with each scene change? Because that's two different things, right? If you need them all to be in sync with the same, like if they're all doing the same scene like this at the same time, that's not difficult. But if they're all showing the same data shared, that's the thing that the multi-display thing doesn't going to be able to do. Instance Unify integration keeps chugging along. Congrats to whoever maintains it. Are we queuing up change requests? Change requests for this? No, not really. Maybe just a scene which syncs to the top of the minute. Well, but when you say syncs, you mean syncs the lockstep of the display. Is that what you mean? When it launches on GitHub. Yeah, this won't be launching on GitHub. Sorry. See, I need to take off. I just want to say I'm so let's do. Thanks, Captain Condon. And catch you later. Thanks for joining. Yeah, sure. Like getting things, sure. I mean, so here's the problem. That would require discoverability of the devices. And discoverability of the devices on a network would be problematic. But the only way I could really do that would be via Bluetooth, for instance, or something. Or they phone home and you have a cloud-based management thing to manage your devices so you can get them in sync, you can connect them to each other, right? But I wanted to avoid the whole you need to access the cloud with authentication to manage your devices, right? I didn't want to do that. I still don't want to do that. I think that's a barrier, and I don't want to have to deal with all the security involved with that. So, there is no iOS 485 on the device. There is no connecting one device to another device. No. They're Ethernet devices. There's currently no if this then that, but it's not needed at the moment because you're controlling what you're showing based on the data sources you create. So, software that could be added on, so features could be developed separately from C on the coder. No, because there can't be you can't hot load C++ on an ESP32 S3. So there's no concept of a module unless it was going to be like a Lua or something. Yeah, I mean if we could do, unless it was, so if it was all running from the website, yeah, so the website had to be always open and running, which was driving the display, that's different because it would all be in JavaScript and the C++ would just be tell me what pixels to show on the screen right now, right? So that's different. That's like what Espressive are doing right now, or some other people have been doing with like some WebAssembly stuff where you can have little apps that run on your device. They're not injecting C++. They're doing this layer on top where the apps are not native and it's all being run through something. You know what I mean? But that's not what I want to be doing with this. Like think about how many. So by the way, this is running at, I think it's 90 frames a second. This display is running at 90 frames a second. I should have mentioned that at the start. Okay. This can actually run faster than 90 frames, the smaller one, 90 frames a second. So the C++ runtime on here is full on. Like all of the web management it has to get, the time slicing of API access and stuff, grabbing data, and then being able to display it real time, 90 frames a second, and feed it live to the website. Shaken since the data center infrastructure is firewalled off from the outside world, so some might update locally. Some might update locally. When you say update, well, this can update locally. They'll have to download a firmware update from somewhere locally, and then they can update their devices locally. That's fine. You can, right now, you can update, via here, right? If I go grab this right now and go upload, right? It's uploading, firmware update. It's literally updating.
Alan Madsen says, are you using the S32S3 which has 2 cores?
Yes, it's running an S3. And both cores are full on, flat out. Let's see if it gets an IP address. So, my fault. They've both been given the same, at the moment. I only got the small one going the other day. And they're both getting the same.
Madsen says, very nice.
They're both getting the same MDNS name. And because they're both getting the same MDNS name, I have problems when they reboot getting IP addresses, right? Because I need to change that. Right now, there's no way of discovering. I wish S3 was available already. Seems like a really nice new chip. I'll have some S31 modules here next week. I'm waiting on silicon still. But the S31 isn't really going to give us anything on this. I don't know. Maybe a future version. I don't know. Yeah. But anyway, that was an update. So it does work. Still running data center. I don't know if data centers would buy these. Like, I'm talking about like data centers. Like, I couldn't see. I don't know. Who knows? I don't even know. Yeah. There are so many unknowns still with all of this. I would have put one of these at the top of each rack or network closet. Sure, well, that's kind of what I was hoping, but I wouldn't have thought it would have been in data centers necessarily. I don't know. Right, now you really would have put one of those on top of each rack? Like, for what would you show on them? Like, wouldn't the university have some type of dashboard already set up that has all the information for all their racks? I'm curious. Like, I don't know. Like, right. Eye candy, that's what I'm thinking.
Clayton says, why did you choose to make this a rack device? What is a use case you imagined when you decided to do this?
I've always wanted one of these on my network rack downstairs. And but I always wanted it to be a PoE Ethernet device. And that was what I wanted. I mean, that makes sense to me. If it's going to go in a rack, it's going to have Ethernet. And if it's going to have Ethernet, these days, PoE costs nothing, right? I mean, 5 years ago, PoE switch compared to a non-PoE switch was very expensive. And now PoE, is everywhere. So, it's only recently that I actually came up with a solution that I thought would work, that I could build. And I literally want one of these in my rack. Like, my rack's downstairs just because, it hums. There's noise, and it doesn't need to be sitting up here making noise. But one of the first production ones of these is going to go in my rack, and I might move my rack upstairs and put it in the corner over here so I can see it, because it's just something I've always wanted. But it's the type of thing where you never really know what people are going to want to use it for, what type of data they want to be able to show on it. It does 1, 2, and 3. So here you can set to that or 3, and 3 has authentication. But the problem with that is I don't have any SNMP devices here. that give me more than just the crap the Unify does. And I need to actually buy an SNMP device that I can stick in my network that I can start extracting data from, right? Because like if I enable this, if I put it back to here, right, and it's enabled and I save, right, and I go to display here and I can go create a scene, SNMP. Oh, maybe I blocked it. Oh, must have. Oh, right. Sorry. You got to wait for the scan. Sorry. So this is the problem with Unify, right? You tell it to do a scan on SNMP and it treats it like a third-class citizen. So what it has to do on the first one is it's got to trawl through all of the different things. Okay, now it's given us data. So you can see here what it is, and then you can dig in and you can look at it. But the idea is that you would tag the items you want to know, you want to see, and you build data sources out of them. The same way. Everything's about data sources, right? So you could, go to, uptime and traffic, but SNMP doesn't show you traffic. It's like you go networks, ports connected, 13 of 19, but you can't see what they are, right? Network speed right now doesn't actually give you the data. You need to use their API to get the data. It's really shit. Anyway, but so that's how it would work. It would present to you all the SNMP data. You pick the elements from that you want to be able to see. You create a data source from them, and then you go to a scene and you create whatever structure you want from the data. Where do you hold the what? The Men in Black. Where do I load the Men in Black? What? APC, UPSs, and power strips run SMP33. Sure. Look, there's a lot on the network side that I still have to work on. But everything is designed here to be discovery based, right? So like here, like it does a scan, and then you go through and you pick what you want. A standards file that tells you what the idea. It's called a. Oh right, okay. Well, but you're talking about every device has their own. I mean, isn't it one standard? But the idea is you don't upload anything. Like it scans the device and tells you what you can grab, like you can see here. And in this case, unfortunately, there's very little you can grab, right, from the Unify stuff, which sucks. Interfaces 25, great. Here's all my interfaces, but what does it tell me? Nothing. I don't even get names on them. Right? Look at this. Like it's traffic in and out. Anyway, it's I need to get a device that actually has proper data. Annapurna Labs Limited, SPF 10 gig. Great. Okay. Traffic in, traffic out. I don't know what that is. Is that that must be their interface on it. Status up. Ethernet. 4 gigabytes per second. I've got nothing that's in. Anyway, they'll have numbers and maybe maps them back to names. Sure. Okay. Lots of things to add still on this. But yeah. Disable that. So again, now the idea with the MQTTs, you do the same thing. See here, if I go listen, I can go listen and I can go logo rain. And you see that? It listened and it grabbed it. So it found logo rain. No, I get it, Jonathan. The SNMP stuff is I got to a point when I realized that the Unify stuff didn't give me any data. went online, did a bit of research, what's going on, and then found that I had to use their API, started implementing their API, and then got sidetracked into other things. So I need to get back onto the SNMP stuff, but I've got no devices here that I can pull data from. So you can see here I've got I did a listen on the topic, and it gave me, I did a rain, that's what it captured, right? And it's given me the data. So I can now create data sources from it. So I can go, this name is going to be logo display, and I can make it, I can say what type of data it is. It's just text coming through, and I can say, well, I want it to be the topic, right? No, where's the actual data? Oh, payload. So I want it to be the payload, right? Is rain. And so now, I would be able to then use that data source in a scene, right? So it could be that I go, I'm trying to think. I actually had this set up for my sensors, but I had to take, you know, my sensors I put, my temperature sensors everywhere I put ages ago? I had to take them all down because I was out of stock and I had to sell those boards. Not to customers. Complicated. Anyway. Sorry, I shouldn't have said sold. I had to ship those boards. So I've got no sensors anywhere right now. Logos crashed. No, what do you mean it's crashed? No, it's just stutters. The camera feed. It's working fine here. That's Logitech issue on the camera feed. Show the nice unified stats from SMP I haven't done. Yeah, I don't think so. Or not many stats, because they literally don't expose it. Maybe older Unify products, I don't know. But like, if you look online, like if you go to their thing, they've actually, like, you can't get almost any data, any usable data out of SNMP on the Unify stuff anymore. Not the stuff I've got anyway. Lots of work still has to happen, but right now my focus is on breaking this stupid freaking. I can't believe I broke this. Can't believe I've. See, these are showing the anchor connections correct, but they're not. And these were drag and droppable. So this is Z order, right? But these I broke drag and drop on these. I broke that last night. Haven't fixed it yet. Yeah. So annoying. But right now, I'm just working on this. And it's much harder than I thought it would be. To be honest with you. Because it's got to work in Safari and Chrome and Edge. And you think they would have gone more in line with their DOM support and their stuff. And nope. So, and yeah. And Claude can't control a Safari session. Claude, it's not TypeScript, it's JavaScript, sorry. Claude can control a Chrome session, so I can tell Claude to go and validate these features and it'll audit clone and they'll work great. And then I'll go to use them in Safari and they don't work. And then it's a nightmare. So, yeah. Picture there's a whole bunch of JavaScript errors. No? Interesting. So every time I click, it's opening and closing the item. It's not supposed to open and close the item when I drag. That's really annoying. Anyway. Safari... Safari as a browser, I still by far prefer using Safari than Chrome or anything else. But yeah, from a development point of view, it's always the edge case and it's a pain. For sure. I hate Chrome. The developer tools are cool. And the fact that Claude can control it is great. But from a user point of view, I don't like it at all. Yeah. So he's inspired enough to go to this depth. Cred always knows where he's going to project in a good way. Catch you later, Dave. Thanks very much, mate. Thank you. It's I didn't even think I'd get this stuff working, right? So, which is why I just started with basic scenes, and I was going to leave it at basic scenes. I was going to leave it at just this stuff, right? And it's fine. You can display data in lots of different ways, and the data's very clear. But I just hated the fact that I couldn't, stick a sprite on there, an icon on there. Like what got me going, honestly, was like for uptime, right? Link. Like I wanted to show a link icon. Now I could go into the sprite editor and make a link icon, and then I could make it put the link icon next to the text. But then as that numbers will change. So when that gets to over 24 hours, that number turns into 1 day. It says like 1 day, blah, 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 minutes, like hours, minutes, time, whatever. It changes the format based on how long it's been going for. And by the way, I've had my longest without a reboot has been 7 days and something hours without a crash, without an issue, running just constantly. So because that changes its size and its formatting, there was just no easy way to say put a link icon but make it justified to the edge, right? Like how do you do that in a basic UI form? Like it was becoming a real challenge, and I thought to myself, like if I can't just get an icon next to the data, then I failed. So my icon next to the data turned into a full-on canvas editor, which then turned into a animation timeline, because if I can put it there, I want to animate it. I want to make it look cool. I want to make it, come up and appear and whatever. Like, one of the animations I want to do, don't ask me, it's going to happen, right? I want things to disintegrate. Like I want, it'll say link and the text, and the animation to make it disappear is all the pixels just and fall away, right? Break apart and fall away. Or maybe they hit the bottom and spread out, right? And then disappear. Like, why? Because I think it'll look cool. But to do that, I need a much more sophisticated system than what my basic scene system was. So, how many tokens have you burned on this? Oh, so many tokens. Like a lot. Yeah. So this is not all Claude. To be clear, Claude is shit at the web design aspect. Totally useless, right? Unbelievably useless, to my dismay. And Claude can do some really cool technical programming, but Claude's ability to reason a usability side of what it's developing has gotten worse with every release. Like it really is. Like Claude almost can't reason anymore. Like it's really frustrating. So this is a hybrid of Sion's coding, Claude's coding, and then Claude fixing or improving Sion's coding. But Sion has to code because Claude can't get the concepts at all. And we're talking about Opus 4.8. It's been a challenge, and Claude, for whatever reason, can't not break X while it touches Y. Like its ability to understand scope has just really, I don't know why, it's disintegrated. So unfortunately, I'm spending a lot more time on this coding than I'd originally planned. And I'll be honest with you, I never, ever, ever wanted to code JS ever again in my life. But the reason it's in JavaScript is because I don't know any other language. And I didn't want to learn TypeScript. And I didn't want to learn any type of other UI paradigm and I wanted to be able to inject code live, and I know how to do that with JavaScript, right? So I tried Codex several times. Codex, it has the same problem. They both get to a point, even Gemini, they both get to a point where they lose the ability to understand even basic scope, right? So, thanks, Dale. Thanks for joining, mate. And have a good rest of the day. It might be a useful eBay device to acquire, or something like an APC. I've got a UPS downstairs. I don't know if it's got any type of SNMP on it. There isn't I don't know if it's got. I think it's got an Ethernet port on it. I'll have to look, but it's a really cheapo one. Yeah, so that's why this is all JavaScript. But by the way, you would have noticed with all the stuff I'm doing, there's no page reloads anywhere. It's all Ajax. And because it's all Ajax, something I should have brought up at the start, I guess, is this is all endpoint driven. So you'll be able to access the data on this and put data into it, not just through this interface, but through the API endpoints of this. So why am I not? So this is not an open source project, right? This code base will not be, so I mentioned before, won't be in Git. It's not an open source project, but I've designed it to be extensible. What? I thought Ajax went out with button shoes. Well, I call it Ajax. I don't know what the name of it is, but it's all API, it's all REST driven, right? I mean, I use Ajax as the terminology for it to pull and push data in an interface, without any type of page loading or whatever, right? Is there a new name for Ajax that I don't know? It's all asynchronous data in and out, but it's all endpoint driven via here, right? So for instance, I'm just going to go copy that. I'm going to go API-scenes.json. No, just scenes. There you go. There's all the scenes, right? Oh, maybe not sprites. What is it? Sprite. I can't remember what they all are. Modules, might be user modules. Wow, doing really good. I'll have to go back and the point is people will be able to control this. If you want to put something on the screen, you'll be able to insert a scene with data to display from something else injected into this via an API endpoint, right? And how you would display it would be you construct it the same way. These are all constructed as JSON. Every single thing. So this whole editor here and the positions, yeah, and the animation is all JSON. It's just a JSON blob. A very complex JSON blob, but it's just a JSON blob. There is no reason why you couldn't make your own interface or something that just pushes a fully animated, constructed frame to your display. Right. Well, it is. It's a RESTful API, but still internally, what is the system? Right. REST is the endpoint based talking to, not the internal The comms is still Ajax or whatever the new name is. Anyway, you'll be able to construct this stuff and push it to a device without touching a web interface. So maybe that's what you would do for syncing multiple devices. You don't use the interface at all. You use the endpoints and you do it yourself through whatever you want, right? If you're, right? Like you could have no scenes in your list at all. So the device sits there doing nothing and you just inject the scene that you want to show. So I probably should have mentioned that earlier, right? You don't have to use this web interface. But this web interface is for people that don't want to do it the other way. Wow, that's got to be right on the edge. So it's interesting. I've switched the network ports. So the 19-inch rack is using PoE. It's pulling at 1.4 amps, 6.8 watts. And the small one's using the PoE port, PoE plus port. But it's only pulling 0.86 amps. Anyway. So there you go. That's a lot of me talking. Ooh. A lot of me talking. Invested a lot of time in this, obviously. And I really don't have an end time right now. But hopefully in a couple of days, hopefully by Friday, I made the mistake of ordering faceplates, prototype faceplates and cases from JLC with my PCB order. And the PCB order was pretty big, lots of panels, lots of different things. And so the metal work, the sheet metal work and the cases were all done in 24 hours. And one of my PCBs was a 7-day PCB, which is currently on day 9 and still isn't finished. And so I should have ordered them separately. I thought I'd be saving with the shipping and stuff, and I did. But I would have had my new custom faceplates, only the 19-inch, and the new custom cases. I've got them to do the cases for me as FDM in ABS and one of the SLS, not the metal sintering, one of the other like resin, nylon. I've got 3 different versions of the case coming. The metal pricing was super reasonable. Like the problem with the sheet metal is you can't order any sheet metal at the moment. So I waited like 5 days, and they are so busy with their sheet metal at the moment that they only open new orders at midnight every day. They're midnight, and the orders are full within 10 minutes. So they're only accepting daily orders 1 day at a time. And so I emailing them going, what's going on? Like I can't order this sheet metal. It's been a week and you won't let me order it. What's happening? And she said to me, like, we are just so busy with our sheet metal that the orders are full within 10 minutes and that's it. We have to lock everyone else out for the day. So you need to get up at midnight and try to get your order in. I said, I can't do that. I'm in Australia. That's like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Like, I need to get this stuff done. This is crazy. How long is it going to be like this for? She said, probably another couple of months. She goes, we have just an out of control amount of sheet metal work to do. She goes, how many pieces do you need? I said, just 2. I've just got... So it's the same frame, the same face, but I'm getting one done with aluminium powder coated and one done with steel powder coated. I want to see the difference, right? And so she goes, okay, just I'll open up the orders for you so you can order them. And she let me, like she did. She goes, order them quickly now. And so I ordered them, and they were done that day. And I'm like really thankful because I would have had to wait months to get this done. So the sheet metal stuff is extremely reasonable. Their 3D printing, unfortunately, and stuff isn't because of the size of the case. The case is the big case. The big case is it's big, right? And so it's a, you know, it's not that it's a complex build or print. It's just, it's really long. So now, interestingly, I managed to get it small enough that I could print it diagonally on a Bamboo HD or HS, whatever. And I almost bought myself a Bamboo H2D, almost. But I didn't want to spend $3,000 on a printer with Bamboo right now, who, let's face it, they're not the favorite kids on in the playground right now. I didn't want to spend $3,000 on a printer just to be able to print these cases. But the cost of doing them at JLC is actually quite a lot. As soon as I went from, and I haven't got them to do these ones. These ones I can print myself, so I can print them here in ABS. But that's for the 10-inch. That going to this one was almost 3 times the print price from this one. So we're talking about like $30 US a print for these, which is quite a lot, plus shipping. What is tell me 3D printing? Like, what? Guessing SLS was the correct. Okay, yeah. One of the, whatever the metal, there's the metal sintering one, and then there's the resin, there's an MLS or ML something. I don't know what I can't remember what they all are. But I've got 3 different versions of the case coming. I've got an ABS case that's FDM printed, which was the cheapest, but I reckon it's going to be the worst quality. And then I've got 2 different nylon ones coming, all black, just to see. SLM is the metal sin. Okay, I don't know what the names are. How many backs would you need to print yourself to offset the cost? Well, think about it. I don't know, but I don't need a 3rd printer, right? If I didn't have 2 X1Cs, I would have got a bigger. I bought the X1C like a month before the H2D was announced. Like, if I would have waited, I would have gotten H2D, right? Shit happens. But I don't need a 3rd printer, not just to print the large cases. So, and right now I'm printing them in 2 parts, and I'm literally screwing them together internally, and it works. But it's not great. It's not really what I'd want to ship, right? I went through also a lot of design, a lot of a lot of assembly problems with the way it's all built. So it's modular in its building. So the hardware and the matrix panels that are running on the 10-inch and the 19 are the same. The 19 uses 5 panels. The 10-inch uses 3 panels, right? So how am I getting 90 frames a second? Well, I've got 5 panels on here, each being driven by a unique I/O, and they're all being done through the LCD peripheral. So it's all hardware peripheral pushing of the data. Yeah. And I still feel like scrolling is not smooth enough. But at the end of the day, I can't scroll smoother than 1 pixel at a time, right? And all I could do is add some ghosting on it to make it look a bit smoother, but that's going to make it look blurrier. Hey, Lachlan. Ooh, it's alive. It is. So, but with the higher density panel. So, here's the problem with the high density panel. The biggest problem. Yeah, you ready? It's $150 US of RGB LEDs cost. That's the problem with going for a high. Oh, and the heat and the power. Like it will be double the power requirement. So we're talking about 3.5 amps continually running in the rack. I don't think the cooling will be enough that I've got. And the power requirement is going to be huge. And the modules, the PoE Plus modules that I'm using can do 30 watts, right? It'll do it. That's fine. But I reckon it'll even melt ABS. It's not a 10 times factor from cost to sell price. No. Not 10 times. Suckermatic blog news. What is that? I don't know if I want to 4-layer 2 ounce just for cooling. Well, if I could get 4-layer aluminium PCBs, I could do aluminium for the LEDs. But the 1x1mm LEDs, they actually run a little bit cooler than and use slightly less current than the 1515s, but it still is going to be way more. There's an odd name for a print farm. Oh, okay. That's the other thing. I can look for other print farms for the large case, or I'd probably do for both cases if that was right, to get them exactly the same. So it doesn't have to be JLC, right? I prefer somewhere more local. That's the other problem. So JLC, the shipping cost for JLC is the high part because of the size of them. Anyway, lots of things still to be solved, but these are all CNC'd here. I bought that CNC machine. I bought that Fox Alien machine so I'm using 1U blank plates right now, and I'm milling them out myself, which is a challenge, milling steel. Getting milling steel and getting it to look even remotely nice on a $2,000 Chinese CNC machine, very difficult. Very slow, messy, and difficult. But it's allowed me to actually prototype a proper rack, right? I mean, it's this thing is watch me rip the Ethernet out by accident. I mean, it's a full-on, you can't even see. I mean, it's a fully nice finished thing. You've got USB access, by the way. Reset button and boot, and although you can't get to it on this version because I got the spacing wrong, there is an I2C, a STEMMA QT port here that you can connect an external I2C peripheral to. I don't know what. I know Bruce wanted some IR. If you can get a module, an IR module that works over I2C, maybe. But anyway, the point is, like, it's a, yeah. I mean, I've really tried to make this.
Alan Madsen says, couldn't you make them in aluminum?
Make what? The face plates or the cases? The face plates, well, sure, but they're going to be black powder coated, so I can't make them in aluminum. And they're going to be sheet metal, not milled. Like the cost of a block of aluminium to mill into a faceplate, $80 US a block of aluminium that big. Yeah, no, it's got to be sheet metal, right? And I don't have the ability to work with sheet metal here. I can make that. I mean, it's easy. Sure. Okay. If you could have the temp humidity sensor, that would stack up well against the dedicated data centers. It does have a temp and humidity sensor. It does, but it's not for ambient. It's for device. It's here. Temperature. Inner temperature, 35.7. Let's add another one and make this the humidity. Yeah, static center, whatever. Make this one red. Humidity, save. So, what has happened with my saving? Every time I try to save, it's killing the device. Yay. So it's trying to serialize the timeline stuff. Oh, Tishipu, hello. I didn't even see you here. Now you're going. Good night. A sensor for the rack. Oh, right. Okay. Yes, you could put an external sensor. Right. But I need to add support for that. But yes, I could connect a BME 280 or whatever else to the back and put driver support for that, so you could have a sensor hanging off the back that could be measuring temperature. Sure, absolutely. We were 2 BMS modules per rack to measure top and bottom rack temps. Yep. How would you specify the K factor for the sheet metal bends? I didn't. So I sent them the 3D model of what it should look like. And it's a 19-inch rack faceplate. I mean, it's a pretty common thing, right? So I'm assuming they understood that. I expected them to contact me to say, hey, you know, what spec do I need here or there? But they didn't, and they made them. So I'll see what they made. I don't know. Is this? I'm done. I'll last see you on Discord. Good night. Good night, John. What? Ask me what? I could not send a super chat. Am I being blocked? No, you're not blocked at all, John. No, there's no blocking. If you were blocked, you wouldn't be able to type here. I don't think there's any. I didn't send them a DXF at all. I sent them the step file of the exact rack thing finished, the 3D model of exactly what it should look like, with the mounting holes and the front cut out and everything. I don't know what I'll get back. It wasn't expensive. It was like, they were like $9 each. They were as cheap as the faceplates cost me, the blank ones that I've been milling myself. But they have everything already done. I don't know what I'm going to get. I've got to wait for them to get to me. I've done same message. Nothing works tonight. Yeah, I don't know, John. Honestly, I've got no blocking or anything in place. Yeah, but they're not going to mill it, Lockie. Anyway, and work out how to powder coat it. Yeah, John, I apologize. I don't know, but you're definitely not blocked. Maybe the text-to-speech just isn't working. I can't see any text-to-speech from you. Oh, hang on. How does... Yeah, I can see here. How does it know...
Alan Madsen says test. Johnny says test.
John, try again. I think it's because your name. Type like exclamation voice and Daniel. Like that. Do that and then try again. I think it's trying to fire a voice that I don't have anymore. And I don't know why it set you to that voice. That's possible. Okay, I saw that. Now if you type the exclamation mark say and something again, hopefully it should work now.
John Clayton says test.
There we go. So because it couldn't find the voice you were set to, it just skipped it. As we're probably wrapping up, I want to say I'm totally impressed and wish I could be fitting these into my old data centers. Thanks, Jonathan. It's been a journey, let me tell you, and it's a long way to go. I reckon I'm only about halfway, but surprisingly, it's got more than I was expecting to have at this point. And the hardware's done. The hardware, at least for this version, is done. I've started routing the high density panels, and I'm going to make a set because I want to know. I need to make a set of 8. So 5 for here, 3 for here. I keep pointing here. That's the small rack. So for those that joined late, and I keep pointing here, I'm talking about this. This is the 10-inch version, right? And my little 10-inch rack I bought the other day. I wanted one like this, an open frame one, and I couldn't find one for the 10-inch. So I had to get one of these. But I had to make sure it fit. I was concerned that the case wouldn't fit and it all wouldn't go in, but it does. You can see inside, it's all in there. So I need to solve that half.
John Clayton says I like this display, but what does it add to display, other than a cat door, that you were missing before?
What does it add other than a cat door? Well, it's a rack mountable, very fast RGB display. Like, that's the other thing. So there are, there are DIY ones that people have made that you can see on the internet. People have made, just either they've put down strips or they've bought those pre-made, 16 by 16 panels that they've stacked together, and they're driving them all through one data pin, and they're showing whatever. The aim for me was I wanted a display, a color RGB display that I could push anything I wanted to in a huge range of display variations, right? Color, animation, effects, visuals, and I want it to be able to do it without ever having to touch a piece of source code once it's live. Like, I wanted to have the flexibility to go, you know what? I found this really cool, website that gives me stats of SpaceX. I want to know when the next SpaceX launch is going to be, right? So I can just add the SpaceX API endpoint and pick what data I want to show, and it'll show me whenever the next Starship launch is going to be. Stuff like that. I wanted a dynamically settable and updatable display in a rack format. Plenty of people do the wall things and the whatever, blah, blah, blah. But, and I've got those. I can't tell you how many RGB type displays I've made, right? All over my office.
Jason says in a rack.
I've got RGB displays all over my office that I've made, all of different types. But I wanted something that was PoE. I wanted one cable for power and data. I wanted it Ethernet, not Wi-Fi, because Wi-Fi is unreliable and slow and spotty, whatever. I wanted fast, reliable data, and I wanted it to be able to be rack mountable because I wanted to put it in my rack, right? And I know there are stacks of people out there that use 10-inch and 19-inch racks for all sorts of things that aren't even network related, right? People use them for audio. People use them for whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like, look at all the, look at Jeff Gerling. And like, I'm going to send one of these to Jeff. Once I got my first production ready device, I'm sending one to Jeff for his 10-inch rack, right? Like, there are stacks of people that do all sorts of stuff, like clustering and whatever, and a rack is just a really good fit for it. That doesn't mean I won't make this in a different format that could be that, maybe it's just in something that can be mounted on a wall or whatever. I don't know. But I needed to solve the rack first, right? Because that was the place I wanted to mount it, or to mount it like this, right? Like, I could just have this sitting on my desk, or this sitting on my desk. Okay, sure, it's a big thing, all just for one display. But the point is, the rack is, this was a challenge. Like, this was sheet metal work that I've never done before. This was real commercial quality case design, like case appliance type design, not here's a 3D printed case I made for a USB hub, or here's my 3D case for my SQUIXL, right? These are not commercial cases. These are not commercial products. Like, I wanted to see, could I make when I say commercial, a non-DIY, non-hobbyist level appliance. I wanted to see if I could make an appliance. Like, you get it in a box, yeah? You open it up, you plug your Ethernet in, and you're done. You don't do anything else. As long as you've got PoE connected to your Ethernet port, you plug it in, yeah? And it immediately boots. First time, tells you your IP address, tells you your, the rack address, whatever, and you open up a website and you're done. It's an appliance. You don't have to flash it. You don't have to know anything about an ESP32 or anything about anything. You just plug it in and use it. That is what I'm trying to make here. And why? Because I want to. Like, I want the challenge of, can I do it? And can I make it as polished as I can imagine I want to make it? And can I do it personally? No, not with my CNC. Like, it's just, no. Maybe if I had a $20,000 or $50,000 CNC, maybe I could. Definitely with this Chinese one, with the flex and the rigidity of it and everything else, can I get a... Look, it's pretty good. Like, if you... I scuffed this one. I got glue on the front. I got glue on the front of this, which is really frustrating. But if you look here, and you look at the acrylic, and you look at the faceplate, I got it really close. Like, it really looks... You know, you can get right up front to it, really close, to see that I got a little bit of glue over here, and I scratched a little bit of the face just here, right? The powder coating, and I can't really fix that, right? It's kind of there now that I point it. You can see it just there. Like, I was devastated. That happened at the last
John
step.
Clayton says it is polished and easy to use. You've done that for sure.
Well, no, I haven't, because I've only got 2 prototypes. Thank you, but there are only 2 prototypes. I need to get that going in a production, right? I need to grab a case, grab a faceplate, grab some acrylic, put it all together and have it be seamless. Like, okay, so here's an interesting challenge, right? How, so that the acrylic is milled in a specific way. How do I mill the acrylic and leave the front plastic on so the front doesn't get damaged or smudged when I ship it without damaging the plastic? Well, the answer is you can't. Not the way I'm milling the stuff. So what do in China? A product like that, they clean the front and they reapply a piece of plastic to it. The plastic that chips with, you know, when you get that nice, you know, ASMR, slide the plastic off the front of your product and it's beautiful and pristine. Yeah, that's applied after it's assembled.
John Clayton says a CO2 laser.
No, I can't laser it because it's multi-stepped acrylic height. So it's got to be milled. So I have to either source somewhere that can make me sheets of this plastic.
Alan Madsen says maybe with a downcutter.
Anyway, there's no way of getting a perfectly lovely bit of plastic on the front that looks like what you get when you buy your whatever product anywhere from the plastic that's on the acrylic while it's being milled. Like, it's never going to look the same. So, like, each one of these things looks great until I pull, but I have to take the plastic off because it doesn't look good with the plastic on it. I couldn't ship it with the plastic on it. They look terrible. But I have to ship these with plastic on them because these get scuffed really easily once the plastic's off, right? Like, these are all the challenges I need to face. So I need to work out how to do it. Hello, Sean. You need this old Tony's chopping abilities. Oh. Anyway. Maybe it could be milled neater. I don't know. Not with my machine. I don't think. Well, not with the tools I have at hand. I don't know. But I've taken this probably about... I could probably get this better. The other problem is these faceplates take 40 minutes to mill. I can't do 40 minutes per faceplate to mill a faceplate. That's just crazy. Try to get a down cutter for your CNC. Okay, I'll have a look online, Alan. Yeah. So the acrylic has got... It's a stepped acrylic. It's got to fit into the faceplate flush, right? So totally flush. But it's also got to sit around it so it doesn't fall through the front, right? Because there's nothing holding it there other than the case. You can buy that plastic at Bunnings. They use it for protecting floors where it's just light. Yeah, but I want it to be perfectly die cut to the shape. I don't want it to ship with just a bit of plastic stuck to it, Lockie. Like, you know what I mean? Like a bit of ugly plastic on it. I want it to be that clear, awesome thing, like it just came out of the factory. You know, when you pull it off and you got that, you know what I mean? But that's my expectation of what I'd like. That's what I'd like to achieve. Whether I can or not, I don't know. The fan that's inside them, I'm actually using, unfortunately, Bamboo Lab fans. I've got a whole bunch of them. These are their fans that they use. So they're the only ones I can find. I mean, I found these on AliExpress as well at double the price of Bamboo. It is so nice. It is. I love that. I love seeing it before I pull it off, how pristine it looks. So these fans they're 5-volt PWMable fans, but what's cool about them is they're blower fans. See that? So they take air in and they blow sideways, which is exactly what I need. And they're really thin and they're the exact size I need. I can't make the case any higher. It's got to fit in a rack, right? So I'm limited. So that mounts here inside, right? And sucks air in and blows air. So it blows air behind the LED panels. It's in between. So LED panels are in front. So in between the LED panels and the hardware that sits in here, which gets really hot, it blows air. And so I've got air exhaust at the top to let, hot air rises, and vents at the bottom, and vents at the end for the flow. And the idea is that this keeps cool. And they're also quite quiet. I can, if you put your ear next to it, it's got that slight hum you hear on a network rack. It actually sounds like a network device, right? And when it's at 100%, you can actually you can hear it a bit more audibly when there's no other noise. But if I put it next to my network rack right now, I can hear my network rack downstairs from here, right? There's a lot of stuff in it, but they're not what's the word? They're not embarrassed about being loud. Like the Dream Machine SE and my 10 gig switch, my MikroTik switch is loud. Like it's got 2 big ass fans in it that make a good old squeal. High quality product that brings your company out of. Yes. Well, yes. I don't think this is that product because I think it's still very niche. It's a very niche product. And look, I'll get it to the level I can get it. I'm sure I could take it all once it's done to China and get a company in China to work it all out and how to make and assemble them as a pristine product. But I'd never be doing the quantities, right? So I don't want to, my plan originally was manufacture it all in-house. And I could. I'll just never get it to that level that it needs to be. And the cost per product would go up heaps. 45 minutes to mill a 19-inch faceplate is just a ridiculous amount of time. And if it wrecks it, I've lost the faceplate. I'll go start it again. So cheap ones from Ali. If that's I bet you, if that's a fan, I bet you're, upcut. Okay. Right, Alan was talking about the upcut. I thought you were going to send me a link for fans. I can't find these fans on Ali cheaper than Bamboo. And what I'd love to find a fan like this that was, down color. Yep, I'd like to find a fan that was a little bit more powerful. But anyway, it's all being PWM controlled from the device. Yeah. But yeah, look, my aim is to make this a product. It will be a product, but to make it an appliance quality product. I plug it in and use it. Honestly, I want to send one of these to Jeff and have him just plug it in, right? And it just powers up automatically and he can immediately go to an interface and, hopefully intuitively get it to display some data, right? I'll send it to him pre-set up with some stuff anyway. But, yeah. I think you'll get a kick out of it as well. But, yeah, I don't know what other things. Anyway, sorry, I feel like I'm just waffling a bit now. And I am. So give it a precision clock. Right. Well, yeah, I'm pretty sure he'll have to do the external connection for that. So yeah. There you go. That's it. Here's some local entropy sources. Okay, well then that's the thing. You can set up here. In settings, you can set your NTP server. So he can set it to whatever he wants for his time sync. Maybe he'll need multiples. I don't know. Yeah. And of course, I support static IPs as well. If you want to set up a static IP. The location stuff is just for open weather. Yeah. Anyway, I need to flesh out the MQTT stuff. That's going to be after I finish this timeline things. But this is the the rubbish bin truck's out the front trying to collect my rubbish bin. I don't know what he's doing. I need to solve this. I need to fix all the things I've broken with this, and get drag and dropping working here again for Z order. Get the linking of things fixed again. Yeah, thanks, Sean. I have. I spent a lot of time in it. Too much time. Some would say too much time, but it's what it requires. Like I've invented this new palette system here, right? What I want to make it fixed colors. I know that people want to be able to do any color you want, but there are colors that don't work on an RGB display, right? Absolutely just don't work. I mean, this has got full gamma correction and stuff, but there are like a full range of blues that just are unreadable, like they strain your eyes, right? And so I've come up with a palette with two tones, which I'm hoping will be enough for most people. I don't know. But now I've got to go back, for instance, to the sprite editor, and the sprite editor, it uses a custom palette where you can. The idea was that you didn't have to encode colors that you didn't use, right? So it's an indexed palette, and that allows you to do things like cycle the color. So does anyone here remember? Did you ever use Deluxe Paint? Did you have an Amiga, and you had Deluxe Paint, and they had the palette cycling? So they had those demos where they had kind of like water in an image, and you cycle the palette and it looked like the water was flowing badly, but it looked like it was flowing because it was cycling the colors. Do you remember that technique? So I wanted to do that with the sprites. Like I wanted to be able to say, like so for my logo, obviously I've got these 3 different colors, right? If I added if it will let me. Okay, it is now. Interesting. So I got that one purple, and I actually make that one. So if I did, and I swap these around. Okay, so if I did that, right, and I save it. Now if I go to here, my logo fun, and I tell this to use color cycle. Wait, why is it not using? I bet you it didn't reload it. Another bug. Or maybe it didn't save it. Oh, there we go. Okay. So you see that? See it's color cycling? So it's just using the palette. Let me just keep it still on the screen. So you can just do nice techniques of just doing cycling of things. So that's why I did individual colors. The problem is I now have to work out how to do that, but with my fixed palette. Because I really want to lock people into a fixed palette. Because, when you're this here on the display looks nice, but there's some blues there that's just going to not work on here at all. If I save that, you might... No. Every time. Crash, restart. Let's see if it works. If it gets there ever. Oh, it's going to do the YouTube first, isn't it? It's going to YouTube, then it'll do my logo. And it didn't cycle. So it didn't save. It's crashing. Every time I try to save, it's crashing. You know, when I'm driving miles slowly by myself on autopilot, I could use the jokes, and weather is important. As to Mariner's API would be nice too. So you can, yeah, well, if there is a Mariner's API, you can just add it in the user module. That's the whole point. You don't need me to add functionality like that. It's already available for you through the user modules. The user modules is way people can extend stuff, but you can also just push data to it, MQTT or through the API endpoints. Anyway, yeah. I am going to wrap this up. I'm going to go get another coffee. I have a client coming soon. I have to deliver some boards to them. Yeah. I'll keep you all updated on this now that it's out of the bag. You know, now that I've given it all away. So all my competitors can... No, I'm kidding. I wasn't hiding this because I was worried about people seeing it. I was hiding it because it wasn't ready. And let me tell you, I've broken so much in the last 2 days. Anyway, available by Christmas. Yes. Of what year? No. It's this year. This will be out this year. Yeah. I'd like this to be out tomorrow, but it's just not ready. It's not ready. But since my changes that I started this time, so the Canvas stuff was all working. The timeline editor is what's broken everything, which is fair enough. I've had to add a lot of new data encoding and serialization and deserialization into Flash, right, and stuff like that. And so I've got something that's trying to serialize down and is breaking and it's killing it, right? So I got to hunt that down. But before I started adding the timeline stuff, which I only started yesterday, by the way.
Says, have you mentioned the expected price?
I have not, on purpose, because I don't know. Let's just say expensive. Yeah, I mean it's a yeah. So the timeline stuff I only started yesterday, so I've done a lot, and it kind of works sometimes. Before the timeline stuff, I actually had no crashes, no reboots, there were some missing things and a couple of things I hadn't hooked up, but there was no obvious bugs or issues. But then, yeah, this timeline stuff required everything to have savable keyframes, right? So not just the stuff that's in the canvas on the timeline, it's even the basic scenes are the same data. So I need to be able to serialize that data, like that cycling sprite that I tried. That cycling sprite might not have keyframes on it, but it still needs to serialize down with keyframe entries, because I could take that sprite and animate it with keyframes, right? So I've basically had to support the timeline stuff for any item already in here that was already working, which is why I've so many things are broken now. So that's okay. I'm sure I'll find them and fix them. Hello, Richard. 112 hours late. Yeah, I keep thinking Canadian. Yeah. No, it won't be as high as 1K. Look, I'm expecting the 19-inch rack. I would like the 19-inch rack to be no more than maybe caveat $399. and the 10-inch rack isn't going to be that much cheaper. Maybe $350 or maybe $299. I don't know. I mean or possibly I don't know. Most of the hardware is the same and the same challenges, but that's what I would like. But the high density version, if I end up, I'm not going to ship 2 versions. If I can get the high density version going, I'm going to only ship that because it opens up massive more capability of the device. So I think I would only ship. Well, I don't know because it doubles the LED costs. So I couldn't see the high density 19-inch rack being anywhere less than $499. Let's get a pre-order. No, I'm definitely not taking pre-orders on it. Look, it's a real thing. You can see it, right? I mean, there's no magic. It's not VFX. It's a real thing, but I'm not ready yet. I'm not confident yet. I don't know what type of yields I'm going to get. If I do the high density LEDs, the more LEDs I pack onto a panel and the more panels on a device, the more chance that I'm going to get failed LEDs during manufacturing. And so I don't know what my yield's going to be like. Like, to have a couple of bad or a bad LED on a panel that's really hard to fix, right? That wastes the whole panel of LEDs. I'm talking about so these are all modular panels. The whole thing is assembled in a modular way on purpose. That way I could do the different sizes. I mean, I could make a version that was in between that had 4 panels. There's probably no point making one that's only got 2. But I can't. I mean, right now 5 is the maximum. I could change the hardware to support 6. I think 6 is the maximum I can do on the parallel interface. I know it's 8. It's an 8 IO on the parallel bus, but I'm pretty sure I can only use 6 with the DMA the way I'm doing it. So, well, I have a rack currently empty. We'll sell some Innoway stuff, NAS and cable bottom there. Cool. Too bad, but I have to also buy a rack and some stuff to put into it. Well, I can't help you with that, Graham. I mean, everyone should own a rack because they look awesome. Full-size network racks everywhere just for, yeah. Sounds good to me. Sounds legitimate, Bruce. Totally legitimate. Okay, folks, thank you very much for watching and for your suggestions. And
HMS says pre-order page.
Not yet. I'm not ready. Maybe soon. I might have registered a domain name, but I'm not going to tell you what that is yet. Yeah, but yep. What? Unpolar application, collect all unified controller site device client data, export to influx. Unpolar actually looks interesting. Pull data from Unify using their API into a time series database. Oh, okay. Thanks, Bruce. I'll take a look at that. My rack is in a crawl space, it seems. Or you need to set up another rack for this that connects to your other rack. That's legit, for sure. Okay. Thank you all. Barbecue time. Yum. I hope you all have a fantastic week. Now this is out in the open, I can just talk about it whenever I want, which is good. Which I was halfway through saying before. I don't have to hide it anymore. So I can give you updated progress week by week, show you some cool stuff as I do it. And yeah. It's okay, Richard. You don't have to be early. As long as you eventually end up here, that's cool. Okay. Bye, everyone. Take care. Thank you all. Catch you later.